am so excited. I have two amazing guests, and they are from the Regional Multicultural Magnet School and our LEARN RESC, R-E-S-C, RESC is the regional association that we have that governs our schools. So what we have, or who we have, are Ryan Donlon and Mariana. And they are, Mariana is the principal at the Regional Multicultural Magnet School. Ryan is the assistant executive director and is located on Hatchet Hill in Old Lyme. So bringing to us their knowledge and their expertise, their love of learning, their joy and compassion. I know, Mariana, the school that you're at is an amazing school, and what you do there is have such a welcoming community. You're really kind of on the ground, working day to day with the children, with the parents, with the faculty, the bus schedule, like the day-to-day things, and you look so composed and poised and able to be here just in a calm and cool nature. So Mariana Reyes, tell me, how did you get started with the RESC program, or with the LEARN program in the Regional Multicultural Magnet School?
Sure, personally, myself.
Sure.
Okay. So I actually wasn't planning on being in education. I went to school in Washington, D.C., very interested in political science and international affairs. I came back home and did some substitute teaching at the Regional Multicultural Magnet School and just really fell in love with the impact that all the staff have on a daily basis on the children. And I stayed there. LEARN has supported my growth. I worked at New York City Teaching Fellows for a little bit, and then I came back as a special education teacher.
And that's an amazing journey, an amazing path to go from non-certified to being an administrator and kind of overseeing. So you know it from the ground up. And I think that just brings so much weight and strength to you as an administrator and a leader in that facility.
Thank you so much. Well, I think I was supported from the beginning to continue to grow, and I'm so honored to be the principal right now.
Oh, well, congratulations. And I know Kate Erickson, your executive director, has spoken on the importance of grooming and helping our paraprofessional staff to become all that you can be and to be a leader if possible. So, and tell me, Ryan, about you. You are the assistant executive director, like I said, over at Hatchet Hill, not so much in the mix. You used to have a program over at Hatchet Hill that was a preschool program. Do you still have learning classes going on at Hatchet Hill?
Not at the Hatchet Hill location, but we do have 4 magnet schools, and then we also have an infant and toddler program that will be opening up at the Friendship School.
Nice.
Hopefully for the start of the next school year in September.
Lovely. Oh, that's exciting.
It is.
And tell us about your journey a little bit. You were an English teacher previously?
I was an English teacher for a period of time. I've had a fabulous time being in the magnet schools my whole career. So I was an English teacher to begin, and then I went on to become a principal of a startup magnet school in the Hartford area. And I did that for a few years, loved it, had an opportunity to become a coordinator of new schools where helped other principals open their magnet schools. And then a part-time temporary placement to fill in for a principal who left at an elementary school.
You just did that for a couple of months, right?
Just a couple months turned into 6 years.
Wow.
I never anticipated loving working in a pre-K 5 elementary school, but I did.
It's a lot of energy.
It's a lot of energy and wonderful staff, and so I've had the experience of working in magnets as a teacher, as a pre-K 5 principal, and as a 6-12 principal, and that eventually brought me here to LEARN to help oversee and work with our magnets along southeastern Connecticut shoreline.
Well, lovely. It's good to know your backgrounds. So what is a RESC anyway? What is it?
So Connecticut has 6 RESCs. They're regional educational service centers, and
LEARN is one of them. And LEARN is who you represent, and CREC is who you represented previously.
Correct. And basically the state is drawn into 6 geographical areas. So LEARN represents the southeastern portion of Connecticut.
And how smart, right? How smart is that?
It's a great way to provide services and support, and one of our core values is collaboration, and we like to see ourselves as a through line of bringing great districts and leaders and educators together to solve problems.
I love that. And it's 25 towns.
It's about 25 towns.
24 school districts.
That's right.
And 21 superintendents.
That's correct.
So that's a lot of coordination, collaboration, and communication. So you're doing those big 3 C's.
And in a lot of different areas too.
Oh,
so
yeah.
for some districts, we help provide technical support. You know, some of our smaller districts in these times can't afford to hire their own IT director.
Interesting.
So that's a service that we can provide.
And you can
Human
save
resource-
money for them by being able
Absolutely.
to be that.
There's an economy of scale for especially some of our smaller districts. It just makes sense to either have us do some of the work or to have us connect them with others and do the work together.
Okay, okay. I love that. And that's just one of the many things that you do. Is there something else you'd like to highlight?
Yes, we provide special education programming for the region. So we do operate 2 outplacement programs that help support our districts. And of course, we're here tonight because we both love magnet schools, and we operate 4 magnet schools in southeastern Connecticut.
Okay, so what is a magnet school? It gets really confusing. We have public school, we have private school, we have parochial schools, and then we have magnet schools. Am I missing something? Charter schools.
Charter schools as well. So we're very much public schools. So
Okay.
magnet schools are public schools of choice. And we're open to any families in Connecticut, and we have students coming to us from great distances.
How far?
I believe we had a family in Glastonbury come to one of our schools this year. So
Come to one of our schools
in southeastern Connecticut.
Okay.
So some students travel an hour to come to our schools. Not most. Most are typically down in this area. But the students enter in through a lottery, and we have theme-based programs.
Nice. I love theme-based opportunities like that. I think the learning is solidified if you can apply a theme, and then the applications of that information go in so many different directions.
I think what we found is motivation really starts with what kids are interested in. And when you can find a theme or an approach or content that gets kids excited, they want to come to school, they want to learn, they want to continue to grow.
Of course they do. So what are the family of schools?
So it's an exciting time for LEARN. We're actually going through a transition. So
Oh, no.
we a very
Transition's
positive.
hard.
It is hard, but it's a very good thing.
It's a good transition. Okay.
It is a good thing. So we've operated 4 magnet schools for several years now, but they all had their own unique identities and kind of operated a little bit in isolation or a little bit differently than one another. We didn't have a clear through line from school to school. And so coming out of the pandemic, we did a lot of listening to our communities, to our families, our students, our staff, and they really called for more of a connection among and between our schools.
That's interesting.
And so what we're working now is to create a family of schools where there's a through line where our families, if they'd like to, can stay with us from pre-K all the way through 12th grade.
So that would be the friendship school to the regional multicultural magnet school, and then they would go to
Marine Science Magnet High School for most students.
Or
we also have Three Rivers Middle College Magnet High School,
Okay.
which is for students in grades 11 and 12.
Okay. Well, that's great.
It is. It does involve us transitioning, though. Currently, we don't have a middle grades program. So Mariana School right now is going through a 3-year plan to go from a K to 5 school to a grade 3 to 8 school. Whereas the Friendship School is going from pre-K only to serving pre-K to grades 2 in the next 3 years, and that will allow us to create that pathway.
Okay. Mariana, do you want to speak a little bit to the 3-8 program that you're working
Sure.
on developing?
Yeah, definitely an exciting time. I think we are excited to continue our multicultural education theme and even just make it stronger as we offer programming through middle school. I think we are also really looking forward to continuing our collaboration with the Friendship School
Of course.
and make a seamless transition for when students get to 3rd grade. We're looking to really have the feeling of a small, close-knit community with lots of great opportunities for our students. So just thinking about that multicultural theme throughout the day with our electives, with project-based learning, and continuing an opportunity to have lots of students from all over southeastern Connecticut come together to learn, making it a lot more powerful.
Is there one pocket where they come from more than others? Because I know it's a lot of towns, but
We do have a large population from New London and Norwich and Groton, so a mix of suburban and urban areas. I think it is really interesting to see why families come all the way and sometimes travel long distances to come to our school.
well, I know why.
Yeah.
Well, it's the dual language for one thing. You speak both Spanish and English, and when I actually worked there at one point in time, so full disclosure, so it would be Spanish one day and then English the next. Am I remembering correctly, or was it a week 1, week 2?
We've used multiple models. So for a long period of time, we had one teacher who spoke both languages and really looked at the curriculum. And
simultaneously?
Can speak a bilingual teacher,
right,
and would be really purposeful in what content areas they were teaching in Spanish and English. And
nice.
Sometimes it would be day to day, sometimes it would be week to week, and sometimes unit by unit.
Okay.
So as we're looking to expand the program and make it stronger, we're just kind of exploring those additional options, especially middle school, because it is a little bit more intense to ensure that Spanish language instruction is happening. And we really aim for 50% of instruction in Spanish and 50% in English.
That's really fascinating. And they say that your brain is actually better and stronger if you can be a dual language speaker.
Yeah, absolutely. And our families believe that as well. And that's why many of them choose to send their children to our school.
So most of the parents are bilingual?
A lot of our families are bilingual.
And some of them, are they world language learners? Are they working on developing fluency perhaps in a second, another language besides their primary language? Is that possible or not?
Absolutely. All of our students receive Spanish instruction either through the Puentes dual language program or as an elective. So we are looking at aiming for students to graduate in 8th grade being both biliterate and bilingual.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. They probably get a special certificate for that.
Yes, there is a seal of biliteracy that we are exploring our students being able to achieve.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. Right. Okay, so why is choice important? Why do we have to think about choice when it comes to schools and learning and families? Why can't you just go to the neighborhood school? Why should we travel across a river to go to be with you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think our neighborhood schools are great, and our first responsibility as a RESC is to help support and serve our neighborhood schools back in our districts. But I think what choice does is it makes us all better. Choice gives us an opportunity to innovate, to try new programs, to talk to families and say, if you could do anything, what would it be?
I love that.
And we can be a place where we try those ideas and we explore those themes. And as I mentioned earlier, that idea of motivation really comes back to this idea of choice.
Absolutely.
And when you look at where students do the best and where their attendance is highest and their engagement is highest, it's when they're doing things they're passionate about.
Absolutely, I believe that.
We get to add to that landscape of choice in the region and add some different options that students might not get back in their home district.
Well, and I'm thinking that you're diverse thinkers too, and diverse problem solvers. Like, it's not like, no, we won't do that, or no, we can't do that, but it's like, let's think about that and see if that could be implemented, right? Nothing is thrown off of the possibility plate, right? Mm-hmm.
Right, and you mentioned diverse thinkers, and I think the other things that magnet schools do uniquely well is bring students of different backgrounds together.
Oh, I love that diversity.
And in a state like Connecticut, where we know geographically our families are isolated racially, socioeconomically, and what magnet schools allow us to do is break those barriers down from one town to the next and bring students of all different backgrounds together to learn with and from one another, and that's really core to our mission.
That's great. I love that. So you're expecting some changes and some changes with the RESC. Would you like to talk about that a little bit more?
Well, I think right now, and I don't know if Mariana might want to talk a little bit more about this, but we're really excited about offering the middle school program. And I know we said a little bit about that already, but middle school can be a really hard time for kids.
It can be a very hard time, and I think if you can specialize in that and make it the best years of a child's academic career, then perhaps that's the best attitude that you could have to help them to flourish.
Absolutely.
And how would you do that? What would the ideas be that would come out of that?
Well, we are fortunate enough to have a design team earlier this year to really just pose that question. If we could design a really great middle school experience for students, what could that look like? And just thinking outside the box. So again, just trying to make sure that we are offering opportunities, all the opportunities that students might get in their home districts, but also continuing that small, close-knit community, really thinking about student interest and having agency in their learning. We're looking at project-based learning being a way to make sure that students have hands-on learning related to the content areas.
Okay. So what is agency in your learning? I don't have a PhD in education, but I am on the school board, so I do know a little. But maybe I think our viewers might not know, so please explain that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just ownership, and really just being motivated internally, just to be a learner.
So if I wrote a paper, and if you were my teacher, and I handed it in, and you gave me a big C, how would you handle me? What would you do, perhaps?
Yeah, I think, lots of parts of that might look differently at our school. I think we're really looking to see what does mastery of learning look like, and how do we measure it, and how do students might show it in different ways that maybe not be like a written essay or things like that.
But you would say, but you know me as a learner, and you know that I like to learn and perform well. So you might have a conversation with me is what I'm thinking.
Absolutely, the feedback. We do a lot of goal setting with our students, so just making sure they're part of that. We have student-led conferences where they could really speak to their strengths and what areas that they want to improve, and how they would like to approach that improvement or that goal setting.
I love that. And I think it was an art exhibit that I was at, and it was Maurice Sendak, and they had something with him where he wasn't wanting to write. So they had his teacher was so incredible. She had him draw and graph and design caricatures that would describe the information and knowledge. So it basically set him on his trajectory for becoming a famous artist and becoming who he would be. So that, I love that innovation. And it's always about what you just said, knowing your learner and knowing their strengths and helping to develop and bring those out, right?
Absolutely. And what's really what we're looking forward to is just that through line with the Friendship School, starting really early in terms of those skills and advocating and doing things, looking at learning in a way that works for them, and then coming to RMMS in 3rd grade with some of those skills that we build upon.
And they even already know, I think, at some point, whether or not their trajectory is going to be on a good path at 4th and 5th grade. I think that helping them with that early on is just such an important thing to do.
Well, and a unique opportunity at Regional Multicultural Magnet School is having such a small learning community. So I think when you think about middle schools in Connecticut, oftentimes middle school experience can be a really large, intimidating, and unpersonal at times. And I think having only about 85 students in a grade allows the educators at RMMS to really know their students well, and for the students to know their teachers well. And it's through that relationship that we're able to tap into unique talents and skills, but also help support students on their personal path for what goals they might have. So that small school community, but you're not losing that big opportunity of doing some innovative work.
I love that. And then you get the parents involved too, so they could be part of that conversation and have buy-in and understand what it's like at home. So you talk a lot about the projects. What does that mean? Like, what kind of projects would you perhaps envision or suggest for a learning opportunity?
Yeah, and so we have done a lot of work around inquiry-based learning, which again is where students start by asking questions around what they're learning.
It's like the Socratic method,
yes,
right?
And trying to investigate more. And those projects really should be student-driven and student-led. So if they're learning about habitats or animal different ecosystems, being able to do some of that research and show their understanding in ways that they would like to display it.
So it's not just STEM, it's also STEAM, because you're getting into the language arts component of it, where they're actually doing scientific investigation and then pursuing that, and then writing, learning, talking about it.
And leadership, preparing students for leadership opportunities is a big part of the learning that they do. So they might do that, and in their investigation and research might also find ways or actions that they can take as a young learner or advocate and show others how to take action, and that's part of that project as well.
Oh, that's lovely. I love that. That just sounds like such an amazing thing. So how do families find you? How would we help people come to you? Because you said you have 470 students currently at your school, and you have capacity for more, I would imagine.
Yes. Yeah, especially as we're building the 6th grade class next year. So I think our website has lots of information.
And what is the website?
It's
rmms.com or
.k12, rmms.k12.ct.us.
let's say it slowly. rmms.k12.ct.us. Okay. All right. I think we said it slowly enough that we probably got it across. So.
And we held multiple open houses in the
what's
winter.
an open house? Can I come?
Absolutely. But at this point, we're more than happy to walk someone through a tour or just sit down and have them get to know a little bit about our school.
And it's a beautiful facility.
Absolutely.
It's a historic site.
Yes, and we forgot to mention that we'll have some renovations done this summer to prepare the 6th grade to really look and feel like a 6th grade experience. We got a lot of feedback from our students.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I love how you had a design team that came in too and kind of said, this is what we want and this is what we need. Is there outdoor space available? Because people are saying no child left inside. It's kind of like a new motto that I've been hearing lately. So.
Yeah, our 6th graders our aspiring 6th graders are excited that they'll continue to have outdoor recess time.
Nice.
But I think that's the next phase of looking at our space outdoors and really thinking about outdoor classrooms, getting Wi-Fi outside, and getting learning outside as much as possible.
Yeah, every day just to be outside at least for half an hour, right? And some good exercise and fresh air. So we know about choice, what to expect. We know that it's a welcoming, vibrant school, dual language, so you just get smarter by being there. And you've talked about your professional journey. What have we not covered? What do we need to let our audience know that's important about your work that you're doing?
Well, I think one of the pieces also we want to make sure everyone knows is that through the LEARN family of schools is that there's the ability to move from one school to the next.
I love that.
Students at the Friendship School in 3 years, as I mentioned, will be ending in grade 2. They'll have automatic entry into grade 3 at RMMS. And then at the end of 8th grade at RMMS, students will have a preference to get into our Marine Science Magnet High School. And that's a big deal because Marine Science is a very popular school. It was a Blue Ribbon recipient in 2023.
Oh, congratulations.
We're very proud of that. Thank you. And so being able to come into RMMS in the middle grades gives families and students a preference to be able to stay with us to go to that magnet school for their high school experience.
So because it is a lottery, there's not necessarily a guaranteed spot unless you're already in the system or have a sibling. If I was a younger sibling and if my older brother or sister was in the program, then I would kind of get some preferential admittance. Is that what you would say?
We do have a sibling preference, and we now have this pathway preference to be able to stay with our schools.
Okay, very good. Well, that's just so exciting. Keep up the wonderful work. Keep up the wonderful work. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And I love it that you have that family community of family events, family nights, family. It's all about family, right? Absolutely. At the end of the day, helping them to be happy. And if the family isn't happy, the school is not going to be as happy, right?
Right, and especially as a school of choice, we have a high standard for customer service. And we want to make sure our families are happy because they don't have to choose us. So we know it's on us to offer a better experience and a high level of customer service. So we work really hard at communication and serving our families.
Yeah, well, LEARN has just done so well. LEARN has grown over the years. Didn't it just start with a truck that was like if I remember correctly?
I actually don't know that story. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, it started years and years ago, of course, but it was just like a library, like a mobile library on wheels is kind of what I remember.
That you could rent movies, I believe.
There you go, see? Yeah, so, and look at where we are now.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, what did we say? 25 towns, 24 schools, 21 superintendents.
Yes. Yeah, and about 1,300 students from 38 different towns. So.
Wow. You pretty much cover the whole state. So I wanted to thank our sponsor. We have a sponsor for this show, and it is Supercharge. And thank you so much. So happy that we could be here together with this beautiful educators that we have in our area. So thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
They are our future, right?
Yes.
So we need to make sure that they are the best and the brightest they can possibly be. And I know if they're in your hands, that's going to happen. So thank you again.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.